Des Moines, and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Hi, good afternoon. 7 minutes after the hour on this 9th day of December in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. You know, I have known Tana Gertz for several years now. We're professional friends. You know, I can't say that we hang out. Our wives don't go shopping together. If Tana called me in the middle of the night and said, I need help with something, will you help me? I'd be there for her. I think her husband's one of the neatest guys around. They go to our church. But I think Tana Gertz just blew up, man. I think that was awesome. Because that's the kind of spirit that I think as Christians we need to have. And I've talked about this on this show. And Chris Kramer's going to come in here, or he's here. He's in front of the microphone. Say hi, Chris.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about his book in a minute, Putting God First, Feeling His Presence, Doing the Right Thing in a Complex World. But Chris and I are in a Bible study together, and I've been telling my guys in the Bible study, this Jesus that I'm getting to know is not this turn the other cheek Jesus. He's not this passive, peace-loving, long white robe wearing, kiss the children all the time type of guy, you know. And I think Tana Gertz is I think Jesus is giving Tana Gertz a standing O in heaven right now. I really do, because I think that's what it takes to be a Christian. When you know, man, do I feel what she feels. Somebody will say something. Oh, yeah, I heard you interviewed this guy who wrote that book. Well, that book sounds bad. And what does he know? And he's never written anything before. And he blah, 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 blah. And I say, well, wait a minute. I know him. I mean, we hang out in Bible study together. Or they say something. Oh, they're always saying something about you, Frank. You know, they're always saying something bad about you. And I got to defend you No, he's not crazy. He's not in a straitjacket. He's not a loony bin. Okay, well, maybe he's a loony bin.
And I don't wear a tinfoil hat, maybe sometimes.
All right. So anyway, Tana, I don't know if you're still listening, but I love you, girl. And you're exactly the kind of girl I want sitting next to me in the pew in the church that we go to and preaching the gospel. You go get them, girl. You go get them. All right, so we have a call. We're going to get to your book, I promise, Chris. And if we don't give it enough time, you'll come back.
I will.
All right, but we're just going to, somebody's on the phone, Jeff wondering if he could ask you about what you think about Trump's faith. Do you want to go back to that? Sure, put Jeff on. Absolutely, that's absolutely fine. Jeff, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing?
Thanks, Mac. I stepped away for a minute to help my mother, but I didn't hear Chris speak up much. And I understand he was busy and couldn't, but...
Oh, no, he wasn't busy.
Oh.
And he could have.
Why didn't he ask, or Chris, why didn't you ask Tana if Donald Trump thought he was a good person? From what I've seen of Donald Trump, I think he would probably say he thinks he's a good person. And then we'd have to give him the good person test. Do we know what the good person test is?
No, but I'm dying to know.
Okay, so, Mac, do you think you're a good person?
No, I think I'm a dreadful sinner saved by the grace of God.
Yeah, I think that I'm making a judgment call by what I've seen from Donald Trump. He probably thinks he's a good person, and I would have to ask him, you know, Donald, have you ever lied? And he would have to answer yes. Have you ever stolen? Yes. And, you know, have you go down the Ten Commandments and, you know, and whatever ones he said yes to, so by your own admission, you know, for me, I was a liar, a thief, an adulteress before I met Jesus. And I would just love to ask Donald Trump if he thinks he's a good person, or even Tana, if she knows the good person test. Does she think she's a good person? Does Donald Trump even know the gospel? Does he understand that he brings nothing to the table, that Jesus alone saves? Or does he think that he's done something to earn his way into heaven? I've never heard his testimony. Have you guys?
No, I have never met. I met Donald Trump once from 8 foot away, and I had a camera on him, and I said, "Donald, Jesus loves you," and he looked at the camera and he said, "Thank you." And that is the most conversation I've had with Mr. Trump. I do not have the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours that Tana has with him. So when somebody like that calls up and tells me those things, I mean, John, I don't know about, or Jeff, I don't know about you, but I have to take what Tana says as gospel.
Well, she also said that she was mad at Chris or appalled at Chris for judging him. All Chris is doing is looking at the fruit on his tree, and he's going, "It's empty. There's no fruit. I don't see it." And she said, well, he helped out a wounded warrior. I'm glad he helped out that wounded warrior, and I'm thankful for our soldiers and what they give for us so we have freedom. But, there are a lot of people that die and go to hell that have done a lot of good, what we call good things, but they don't know the gospel, and they won't submit to Jesus Christ. So I would just love to ask Tana how her understanding of the gospel and what she brings to the table.
Jeff, did you happen to attend the Family Leadership Summit in Ames back in May?
I did not, Frank.
Okay, well, Frank Luntz asked Donald Trump a question that kind of set some Christians drop their jaws when Frank Luntz asked Donald Trump if he had ever asked Christ or God forgiveness for anything, and Trump said passionately no, and said he just tries to set things straight. He doesn't ask forgiveness. So that was more
a ton right there.
That was more eye-opening to me than the comments that he made about John McCain, not being a war hero because he was captured. Everybody focused on that, but the admission that he had never asked God forgiveness was more jaw-dropping to the people in the crowd.
But yet you're a Trump fan.
Yes.
You're going to vote for Trump.
Well, I'll pull the lever for him if my guy doesn't get the nomination.
Oh, no, hold on. Back up. Who's your guy?
My two main guys were always Scott Walker, Carson, and Walker's dropped out, so I'm basically a Carson guy. But if Carson doesn't get it, I'll gladly pull the lever for Trump.
So when you walk into caucuses on February 3rd, and Carson and Trump are both on the ticket, who are you going to pull for?
I'm going to pull for Carson, but like I said, if Trump's the eventual nominee, I'll vote for it because Trump's the one person that's going to look Hillary in the eye and say, "Hillary, you missed the 3 a.m. call. You're fired."
Yeah, she will. That'll be the ad. Well, it's interesting. And now, Jeff, the other thing we have to look at, and who was on? Who was our guest yesterday? Who did we have on Tuesday with Tom Coates?
We had the black gentleman.
Oh, Steven Seagal. Yeah, no, not the actor. He made the comment, and I thought this was pretty. He was a smart kid. Yeah. Or no, he's not a kid. He's a young man. Everybody younger than me is a kid. But he made the comment that the litmus test to be president is not determined by his faith. Yes, he would like to have a faith-based man or woman in the White House. Yes, he'd like to know the testimony of that man to be like a Carson or a Cruz or a Rubio, someone who's really stepped out and put their faith out there. But I'm hiring him to run the country. I'm voting for him to run the country. That's who I want to vote for, is somebody who I know can run the country. If they know the four corners of the Bible, that's even better. But that's not the number one prerequisite. And I think, and really isn't that the most important thing? I mean, isn't it? Or am I wrong? If a candidate comes, here, let's just give an example. Who's a really bad candidate on either side?
I don't like John Kasich.
All right, so let's say John Kasich. John Kasich came out tomorrow and he said, I am going to end Roe versus Wade. I'm going to overturn Roe versus Wade, and there will never be another abortion in this country. That is one of the most passionate topics in my life. You guys all know that. Sure. I'm not voting for Kasich because of that. I'm not a one issue voter. There's no way. And I think that's why Trump, and again, I'm going to say it again, I don't endorse. Who am I to endorse? If you vote for somebody because I'm voting for him, then you're a low information voter. You hear me? I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that God gave an opportunity to be on the radio all my life. And I work hard, and I study, and I prep because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the brightest light bulb. I'm a brick short of a load. The elevator doesn't go. Whatever you want to say about me, but who I vote for, I'll vote for, and I'll tell you who I'm going to vote for. And if I don't tell you who I'm going to, then I'll tell you the next day who I caucused for, etc. But I'm telling you, Donald Trump excites me.
So you're saying do your own homework and pull the lever for yourself.
Yeah, because if all you do is do what all the low information voters do, forget it. Forget it.
You're no better than them.
I'm no better than they are. So, all right. Well, I'm glad that Tana called in today. I'm glad that she was a part of it. We ought to probably, this topic is not the most important thing. I'm the one that brought it up. Because on a Christian radio station, that is the question I'd like to ask him. But you know what the truth is? I won't ask him that. I won't. It cannot be the most important thing. And you know what? Here's the other thing. Kind of like Tana said about Chris, or not about Chris, but about what Chris said. Who am I? Who am I to decide who gets to spend eternity with Christ? For all we know, and this is going to be a hated comment, for all we know, every horrible mass murderer in this country that has died is sitting with Jesus because they repented for their sins.
The most important thing is, will he uphold the Constitution? That's all we need to know. There is no religious litmus test.
All right, when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to Chris Kramer, his book, Pass the Test. Putting God First, Feeling His Presence. He's a local guy. He's a reluctant author. It's his book, and it's him next, live here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
All right. 4:21, 21 minutes after 4, 9th day of December in the Lord's year 2015. J. Michael McCoy. Have I told you lately, thanks for listening? Thanks for listening. I love this job, and I can't do it without you. I don't have... I used to have that big ego. I did. I used to have it. I used to think I didn't need listeners. You know, I'd say whatever I wanted, and it would magically fly through the air on the magic carpet of FM radio, and everybody would hear what I had to say with
Was
her.
it as big as Manhattan?
Yes, and my self-confidence was the size of a pea. And now, the last many years, I've always said, thanks for listening. I love my job, and I couldn't do it without you. And it comes on fire. It's you guys, and the chat. Bob's over here. He's got more chats today than Carter's got pills. And they're really kind of in between, but we can get into that later. I want to introduce you to Chris Kramer. Observations from a Reluctant Author. It's called Pass the Test. All right, so my listeners have probably not read your book. So what would you say if somebody said, so what's your book about? I mean, tell me what it's about.
I've been asked that a lot of times. And the easiest answer I have is application. So I yearn to know more. And so I go to Bible study with you. I go to church regularly. I read.
You're a big reader.
I do like to read.
Yeah.
I don't know if my wife jokes, I don't know if I ever finish a book, but I read a lot of different things.
That's
and right. When I listen to sermons, it all becomes about application for me. So I hear a sermon and it's, how does that affect my life? What am I missing? What should I be doing better? And this book was designed for my kids. I had taken notes for every sermon that I can remember, and I wanted my kids to see the world the way I saw it, or understand how I saw it, in case anything ever happened to me. And then through talks with Pastor Mike at Hope, he recommended that I maybe look at making it more public. And so I reluctantly went down that road, but it took a long time. And as he says, it's a God thing, because it is. I'm not an author. You'll see when you read it that it's not perfect by any stretch.
You've got like 120 chapters.
139, yeah.
139 chapters.
Yes.
And each chapter is probably no more than 2 to 3 pages.
Correct.
Would it be fair to say this is more? No, maybe not more. Is it fair to say this is kind of like a journal?
Yes, I think it is. It's a lot of people want to say it's a devotional, and I don't see it that way, because you're learning more in that. To me, this is just observations. So it's just, I want to interject Jesus into everything I do. And I don't even come close to doing that. And even when I wrote the beginning part of this, introducing the book, I said I do maybe 8% of the time right now, which I think is great right now. I'm proud to be at 8%, because I didn't used to be even close to that. And everything is better when I interject Jesus into the equation. Whatever my thoughts are, whether I'm just sitting around or if I have to make a decision in front of people, whatever it may be, if I can just pause for a little bit, it makes everything better.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Explain to us this test that you want to pass,
Mm-hmm.
and is it a test we all need to pass?
Test. I see everything as a test. So you may not see everything as a test, but I do.
Okay.
So some people might call it opportunity. I like the word test because it challenges me to remember that I need to be doing these things. Some people don't like the word test at all, and so it's too challenging for them. But when it comes to God, I want to be challenged. I want to, and so yes, I see everything as a test.
Well, let me ask you. Here's the test I want to pass.
Mm-hmm.
I read the story of the reformers, John Huss and Jerome, and John Huss went willingly to the stake and was burned at the stake. Mm-hmm. If Jerome saw that, the papacy gave him an opportunity to recant his views on Christ and come back to the papacy. He recanted. He got thinking about it, and he recanted back.
Mm-hmm.
He said, burn me. That's the test I've been studying for my whole life. Will I, when the chips are down and it really, the money's on the line for Christ, will I willingly lay myself there like the lamb for him? And that's the main test I want to pass.
I agree. But so the way I do things is everything is a test, so it's a build-up. So you don't want to wait till the final seconds to figure that out, because you may not have that capability even.
Yeah.
So, and you miss so much throughout life if that's the only test you're worried about, and you're only going to build up for that one moment.
Well, you want to pass them little ones each step along the way.
Correct. Yeah. And in doing so, you also then understand what joy is.
Right.
And that's the big thing. That's the one that gets me is when we sing a song at a sermon, the joy, the tingling that I get throughout my body, knowing that God's with me.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I want. And so that's why the more I can pass these tests, the more I feel, the more the hairs stand up on my arms and the better I feel about everything.
And I'm okay with the word test. I know that, I don't think God tests us. I think God is with us through the tests that we put up for ourselves because we are sinful people.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I like the word test because it means something to me. It's like I said, you can put whatever word you want in there. I see it as a test because I need to recognize God in everything, or see Jesus, and know that He's with me at all times. And so to me, it's a test just to refresh my memory for something.
Do you ever feel like Job?
Oh, no.
Not like that.
No, Job went through. No, I do not. I'm very blessed.
Chris Kramer is my guest today. Passed the test, putting God first, feeling His presence. You started out in this life wanting to be a professional golfer.
Yes.
And you paid money to get into tournaments, and at the end of the day, didn't work out very well.
That's why I'm here. I wasn't good enough, yes.
So what did you do for the rest of your life then?
Since I was 2, I had a golf club in my hands.
Okay.
And so that was my dream. After giving it a try for 3 years, didn't work out. I came back to Des Moines, not sure what I wanted to do. And
came back to Des Moines, so you were born and raised
here.
Well,
no, I was born in Spencer. But,
well, that's the same thing.
I came back to Iowa. Florida is not a place for me as far as, it wasn't, at least not through the main years of my life. And now I'm in the wealth management business. So it's been a blessing of a job for me.
Okay.
And it kind of fits along with the fact that I get to make my own schedule, and that's what golf was all about. I mean, I was practicing 18, 20 hours a day.
You still play?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your handicap?
It's a +1.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it is at home. So I'm one of those guys that I don't take my golf game on the road much anymore because I can do well at home.
We've got several very good golfers live here in Des Moines. One guy who everybody thinks I'm him or he's me, Mike McCoy, very good golfer. Do you know Ted Grobe?
No.
Ted Grobe is one of the top realtors at Iowa real estate. But he also was a professional golfer. So there's a lot of good golfers. Yes. And you wouldn't think that because we only get to do it like 6 months out of the year.
Correct.
I shouldn't say we because I'm not a golfer. I own shoes, and I own a bag, and I own some clubs, and I got the little golf. I got the little really cool glove, that you put on and off.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't. You asked me what my handicap is. I don't even. I maybe shoot 120 in 9 holes. So who knows? I want to read a little bit from this book for a second. This chapter is called No Time Off, and remember, these are page to page and a half chapters.
Most of them are, yes.
And I can see why some people would say they're devotionals, because you end every chapter with pass the test.
Correct.
Kind of the moral of the story, pass the test. So this one's called No Time Off. Every day matters. Every day we can make a difference in someone's life. We all have hundreds of opportunities to make someone's day better. Through nice words, gestures, gifts, whatever it may be, we are always in the position to make a difference. Remember, every day God's grace is in our lives for our sins. Every one of us receives His love. Every day matters. Don't throw away a day because you want to be unhappy or feel weighed down. Show grace and love to others and do something to make another's day better. We are never alone, and we need to let others know that they are not alone either. Do this through words and deeds. Do not talk down to or try to condemn others because you think they are wrong. Do not be the judge and jury of others. Do everything with love as God does it. And then at the end of the chapter, you write, pass the test. Don't throw a day away. The attitude you have for yourself and others can make a world of difference. Always show love and grace towards those around you and try to make a difference that can improve their day and hopefully their life with Jesus Christ. Now, this is very much I would tell you this is, I mean, if you had a Bible verse at the end of each one of these chapters about this one talking about love and grace and helping people, you know, whatever that would be, I would tell you this was a daily devotional, and I'm not sure it is in any way. How long did it take you to write it? Because it's what is it, about 450 words?
400 pages.
Or 400?
Yeah, it's about 340 pages or so.
Yeah. Not 450 words. That was silly.
I started it. All of this is where I took notes from the sermons and rewrote them into this book. I could write another probably 300 or 400 chapters right now with all the notes that I have.
Yeah.
So the journey started a long time ago for me. It's when I bared down and finally realized that, you know, I want to write a book. That process took probably 4 years because I was reluctant. I'd start it and then I'd put it away for 6 months. And then I finally bared down this year and spent the whole summer working hard on it. Had some people help me. I had a lot of help. Mitch Matthews was awesome.
Mitch is great.
Lise Cartwright, who's not in this country, is the one that helped launch the book. And then, I'm going to drop.
There's lots of people.
There's lots of people.
Your wife, your son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The encouragement that I had from my family, you know, because this isn't something you can easily do. You need some help, and so it's I could not have done this alone.
I've had a book in my head for as long as I can remember, and it's been in my word. What is it called?
Processing.
Word processor since I first had a computer back in 96, 97. So I honor you for the fact that you finally sat down and wrote it. But so in a way, these are like sermon notes.
Yes, for me they are. That's exactly what they are.
So as Mike read this book, it had to be pretty weird for him to go back and realize, oh, I remember preaching that sermon. Yes. I remember preaching that sermon.
I think so. We haven't really had a face-to-face talk about this since I brought it out. And as you know, he's been away a little bit. So I'm hoping to see him here relatively soon. But you know, it's so funny how I'll just go off into a whole new world when I'm hearing a sermon. So I'll hear what he's talking about and then start applying it, and then they marry up so well. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it just takes me off into a tangent where I'm in another world. So
when we come back, we're talking to Chris Kramer. He wrote a book called "Pass the Test: Putting God First, Feeling His Presence." And I'm gonna do what I always do. You know, you skip to the end, and I want to read you a little bit of chapter 138 called "Only I." That's coming up next.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
All right, 4:38, 22 before the top. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then Hank, the Bible answer man. Ask Hank. Ask Hank. Thank you. 1-888. Ask Hank. Call now. Get in. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. A Jewish man, a rock star lady, gun-toting patriot, and the three of us are going to talk about Jesus. And we're going to let Gabe come in. And I invited Gabe in. And he just has some real questions about, what we as Christians think we are and who we think we are and what we say we are and why do we do the things we do. He's a smart guy. And so I have a feeling that it's going to be a lively 2 hours. We're going to do a little bit of news up front, but it's going to be a lively 2 hours. So I look forward to that. All right, my guest today is Chris Kramer, Chris, last name K as in kitten, Ramer, the book Pass the Test. How can people get this book if they want a copy?
It's on Amazon. That's the best place to go. So if you look up Pass the Test, you'll see a few of them there. Mine should be the first one listed. You'll see the cross on the book, and obviously my name, Chris Kramer. Also at Lutheran Church of Hope, they've started to carry some copies. So those are the two places.
So get it on Amazon, or you can go to Hope and get it at our bookstore. Chapter 138. Now, what'd you say there were? 140?
139.
Oh, this is the second. What's the last? Further the Kingdom. All right. I think this is interesting. Chapter 138, and this is less than one page. And it's called Only I. Only I hear things the way I hear them. Only I see what I see. Only I decipher information the way I do. Only I am where I am right now. Only I can teach others the way I teach. Only I can show my faith the way I can show it. Only I have my particular tests each day. And only I have my brain. And it goes on, and eventually at the bottom, you just say, only I, ... Tell me what brought about this. This is deep. This is deep. Where does that come from? Besides one of Mike's sermons.
That is probably what caused me to write the book, because I process everything and realize that I'm the only person that can help those around me. So as long as I sat back, it wasn't me involved. And it's easy to be part of a group and not be the person that's teaching somebody or helping somebody. And I realized that it's up to me and only me to make a difference, because like just on this forum right now, you're listening to me. It's my chance to help everybody and further the kingdom. And I need to take advantage of all those situations. And I also have to realize that it's my thinking and it's my way of doing things. And I've got my own special talents and gifts that God gave me. And so I have to use those to the best that I can.
Yeah, it's interesting. At the end of the chapter, he has every end of the chapter, he has a pass the test. And at the end of this chapter called Only I, it says, pass the test. It's up to me how I choose to process life. Anyone can put Jesus Christ first throughout their life. Anyone can find joy in everything because of God's love and grace for every one of us. But only I can affect my life and those I encounter the way that I can affect them. I like that. Frank?
I was thinking a couple of things listening to that chapter and the previous one. Joy comes to mind. I learned that in Sabbath school. Jesus first, others second, yourself last. But just listening to that last chapter, it convicts me of something that I'll share with you. Walk in no man's shadow. Stand in your God-given character and personality, and fully expect God to work in, by, and through you.
I agree. I completely agree. But it took me a long time to figure that out. And, I was probably in my late 30s before it started to sink in.
How old are you now?
49.
49. Chris Kramer is my guest. Chris with a C, Kramer with a K. Putting God first, feeling his presence. I want to go to page 211 and chapter 90, and this is called Violin. It is amazing how God has changed me. I find beauty now in the simple things in life. I take note of all the blessings around me more frequently. I get chills or goosebumps more often, and I'm more grateful. One example of this is the violin. For most of my life, I was into hard rock. I listened to AC/DC, Scorpions, Black Sabbath, and many other bands which made loud noise with very questionable lyrics. I made fun of people who listened to classical music. Then one Christmas season, I went to Mannheim Steamroller Christmas concert, which in itself was a God thing because it was not my cup of tea. I bought a ticket and went alone. The music was beautiful, but the violin really pierced my heart. I thought it was the most wonderful sound I had ever heard. To this day, it almost brings me to tears to hear it played. It always refocuses me to God's love for me. It feels like God is playing it for me. And the pass the test is let God work in your life and find those things that God uses to touch your life. Let it refocus your thoughts with your love. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Very well written. I like this book. Chapter 79. You remember what that's called?
No, I do not. No, that sounds bad, but I've written so many chapters that I have to even refresh my own memory sometimes.
Not alone. Put your hand out like you're going to hold your child's hand. Leave it there and look over. Do you see or feel anything? You know, Jesus is holding your hand. He is with you every second of every day to listen to you, speak to you, guide, and help you. You just have to let him. You understand, that's me. Jesus is always sitting on my right side, and he is telling me, he's teaching me to be a big boy and put on my big boy pants. And many times you'll see me in worship. I never used to be the guy that put my hand up because I thought that was really freaky. That's just something those freaky Christians do. Now I just have to. And a lot of times when I put my hand up, I'll find my fingers and my thumb rubbing on my palm because I'm feeling Jesus' hand.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when Jesus stands beside me and I'm saying something or doing something, I feel him back away and he says, you can't do that with me. I can't be a part of that, Mac.
Right.
You know, you just said something that wasn't true. You just gave a false witness. You just thought something that I can't be a part of. And I never heard him that way before because I didn't have a relationship with him. I had a religion that he was the head of. So this book is a lot about relationship, isn't it?
Very much so. Yes.
What would your wife say about this book?
My wife's very proud of me.
She should be.
And there are parts of this that, she doesn't agree with it sometimes.
Really?
Which is what happens. I mean, that's what happens with any
relationship.
Oh, in so many words, yes. And we eliminated a lot of chapters. I mean, I probably had another 30 or 40 chapters there that we eliminated because of the talk that she had to have with me about some of them, because I see things pretty black and white, and sometimes I'm a little too direct. So, and my editor Bernie, who I forgot to mention,
Bernie or Bernie? Bernie, okay.
Bernie helped me a lot with softening the tone, and it helped to have a woman's point of view on some of this too.
Okay.
So, I mean, a lot of people say this is written for men because of the short chapters and just because it's from me. But
the short chapters are really cool for a guy, I got to tell you.
Right. Well, and they're exclusive of each other, so that makes it nice. You can pick it up anytime and just start wherever.
So you're saying guys have short attention span?
Well, yes, I am. And the funny part is this is more of a lecture to me than it is anybody else, and it's me trying to learn and remember things, and it's a reminder.
When we come back, I'm going to read you chapter 56, Being Judged. Maybe we'll invite Chris Roloff back in. I don't know. We're live here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 10 minutes, before the top of the hour. Radio news from Salem Radio Network News. And then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, live, coast to coast for an hour. Tomorrow, this is going to sound like this is going to sound like a bad joke. A Jew, a woman with a gun, and a Christian goes on to a radio show. But that's the show tomorrow, the whole 2 hours. I'm very much looking forward to it. All right, my guest today is Chris Kramer. He wrote a book called Pass the Test, Putting God First, Feeling His Presence. You can get it on Amazon. It's also available at Lutheran Church of Hope bookstore. And you were commenting about how wonderful your wife is to you.
Oh, very much so, yes.
Yeah, and how she encouraged you throughout this book, but she also gave you some input,
very
powerful input.
Correct. Yes, she helped me immensely in how this is worded, and I couldn't have done it without her. So I hope that came across last time, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. She's been a blessing throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, no, it did come across. It did come across, and I know the feeling. My wife, I'll think I said the most wonderful thing about her, and then I'll get home and she'll say, "So, I'm a princess, huh?" Yeah, you're my princess. Well, you know what that means to most people. That means I'm picky and persnickety, and I can sleep on 10 mattresses and feel the pee. No, it's not what I said. Listen. Chapter 56 from Chris's book, Being Judged. We often hear the question, how do you want to be remembered by others? As a Christian, this answer is relatively easy. We will be judged by those we have met by how we treated them and the influence we had on their lives. God will judge us on how we furthered his kingdom on a daily basis. That is awesome. I wonder what sermon, I mean, that's kind of a regular Mike theme, though.
Very much so.
In a way, yeah. Yeah, and then the pass the test is, life is less complicated when we make decisions consistent with our beliefs. When we follow God's set of values, life is more enjoyable and peaceful. When we live life to help others know Jesus, we will know true joy and bring true joy to others. I could see, I can sit there and imagine making notes through a sermon and then taking that 30 to 40 minute sermon and putting it into a page and a half. You know, the other thing I want to say, and I'm not here to sell Chris's books. You guys know me. You've heard me interview hundreds of authors, and I'm not here to sell their books. But this really would make a good Christmas present to a guy. Because, and I'm not, my wife can sit down and, last Saturday, I had to wait 40 minutes for our lunch appointment because my wife wanted to finish the chapter in a book. Now, these are perfect chapters because I don't have to, my stomach can growl for just a minute and I'm out the door. But I like this book. Pizza, chapter 53. There are times when I reflect on my reaction or lack of reaction, and I wish I had acted differently. Recently, at Godfather's Pizza, a mistake was made on my order. It had been a very long day, and my family was hungry. I ordered the pizza so I could pick it up on the way home and meet my family when they arrived. I had it timed out that when I arrived at Godfather's Pizza, it would be ready to go. When I entered the pizza place, there was a man vehemently complaining about a perceived mistake. He was making quite a scene. I went to the counter, paid for my order, sat down and watched him, thinking he was being a jerk. They bent over backwards to make him happy, and he left 20 minutes later. I was still waiting and asked about my order that should have been done when I arrived. They realized they had missed it. Now, I wasn't happy, and though I said nothing, I did make it known by my body language that I was not happy. I had just acted like the guy who I thought was a jerk. I sat down and within a few minutes realized how I could have acted better. People make mistakes, and it was obvious this establishment was having a bad day. It didn't make anyone feel better or make the situation any better the way I acted. I didn't treat others as the most important, more important than myself. No, hold on, I want to do that. I didn't treat others as more important than myself, which I think I should do. That's awesome. Right.
You mentioned that these are notes off of sermons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your wife had to correct a few, so is how you got it the way the pastor said it or the way you heard it?
Well, it's the way I heard it, but sometimes the verbiage I use probably could be softened or could make more sense. So everything always sounds good in my head. It's just when you put it on paper, sometimes it's not.
So you were adding notes that he didn't maybe say?
Oh, very much so. No, these when I start a sermon, and I'm just kind of I'm a blank sheet, and the way the sermon goes will lead me into different topics, and then it's application for me. It's how is it part of my life, and that's what I end up writing down. And so sometimes the sermon ends and it's gone in a completely different direction than what I was writing.
Yeah.
but I was so engrossed in what I was writing. But it's still God speaking to me and me putting it down. So sometimes these sermons my notes don't match up with the sermon at all because I just went off. And I mean, I might start as soon as we're done, sit down from singing, I'm already writing.
So your wife thought you went off on your own tangent.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very true.
I want to read one last little bit. Chapter 47. This one's entitled Alone. I am never alone. Took me a long time to realize this. I have had my share of downtimes when I felt alone and scared. I've been unhappy. This happens more when I was in high school, college, and just after college. See, I was looking for answers, and I didn't know where to turn. Now, as a parent, I want my kids to avoid going through this, if at all possible. I want them to know that when they are down or feel alone, that this is never really the case because God is always with them. What a great lesson to leave to your kid. How many kids do you have, by the way?
I have 2.
2, boy, girl?
Yes. Girl's the oldest. Yes.
Any golfers?
My son likes it, and my daughter plays, I think, more to appease me. So.
Oh, okay. But your daughter can whip you, right? She's probably better at handicap than you've got.
She's got some talent.
Yeah. Good. All right. I'm trying to get you back into good graces with your family here. You're not making it very easy. But what's the best thing about your wife?
That she loves me. Through everything that I am, she loves me.
Yeah, the answer is everything.
Yes.
All right, very good. All right, well, Chris, I appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you.
Chris Kramer, last name Kramer. The book has passed the test, Putting God First, Feeling His Presence. I'm going to suggest, I feel like Oprah here, and I don't want to be Oprah, but I'm going to suggest that you get this book for a guy in your life. For that guy that's got, attention deficit, that can't ever sit down and finish a whole book. Because it's gooey and romantic, and he can't see the blood and smell the gunpowder. Get him this book. And maybe, as a kid or a spouse or a dad, maybe you'll have to sit down and read him the book. Just chapter by chapter, every once in a while. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. As always, there's somebody in the back of your head that you need to forgive. I don't know their name. Chris doesn't know their name. God knows their name, and you know their name. And God's waiting for you to forgive them. Because after you forgive them, He can forgive you. So tonight, as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. I'll see you in church.